Okay, so we're back. We've got our cover, everything's dry, looks good. Certainly good enough for me for my own personal journals, which is what we're doing today. And now we're on to the fun bit of putting it together. It's also in some ways the trickiest bit, in a way, working out how many pages you want to put in these journals. I've got a fairly narrow spine and I'm going to put 2 signatures in. We're going to stitch them in. Deciding on the number of pages, I kind of know from experience that my own journals, I tend to pack them quite full with photographs and flaps and sticking things in, all that type of thing. And I think the ones that I showed you a few days ago have only got 5 pages in, or 5 folios. Let me just show you. This is a signature. This is a folio. So this is 1 sheet of paper folded is a folio, and that gives you 2 double-sided pages, or 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sides, 4 pages, as in a book. So I had 5 folios in each signature in those books I did a long time ago. I'm actually going to put a few more in this one. I think we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go 8. I'm going to put 8 in each signature. So you need to go back to your pages and sort them out. So I've only got 7 here at the moment, and all I've done literally is choose one and get it pretty much to size. So I like to have a page on the top page of my signature, or maybe sometimes the second page. I like it to be the sort of size that's a template for the other pages. So this measures, when it's folded, this measures just over 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. The sheet is 11 3/4 folded. It was a bit longer, so I folded this piece in. So that's going to fit in there quite nicely when the book's closed. So then I go through my other papers and we just choose them as and when. So this is that brochure that I'm going to put in. I like it this way. This is the crease and it's going to get stitched in here. Obviously it's too wide that way, but the natural fold leaves us a sort of slight gap between the folds, so it's not going to get caught. This is a book page, and that fits in without any alteration at all. This is magazine page. I think this was this from Flo or Daphne's Diary? I can't remember. The other thing I do when I go through is crease the spine on each one as well. So far we're doing fine. You can leave this edge torn or you can straighten it up. I do a bit of both. So we're stacking these inside each other. So we're stacking the folios on top of each other. So again, this one fits in my template, but it's a little bit over the top. Some people leave it, some people don't mind everything sticking out. I like mine trimmed off and fairly neat. So I'm just using a craft knife. Straighten the whole thing up, that's fine. And then I've got a music sheet here. So that's going to be too tall and too wide here. So I'm going to cut the top off. And with this one, I could fold these in a little bit to make it smaller on both sides, or just one side, or I can trim it down, and I'm going to trim this one down. I'm going to leave this folded, so I need to be careful not to cut this fold. I've done that loads of times when I've been making these books. It's not the end of the world, to be perfectly truthful, but if we can avoid it, we'll avoid it. So I think I've avoided that. I might just move that out and take a smidgen more off. I really like my page edges to be even, I guess. So we know now that this is the same size as our template. So let's take our next folio. This is another magazine page. Pop that in. And again, it's a bit tall. Oops, get my bits everywhere. So we'll take that off. Again, I've gone straight for another magazine page. And I have vaguely, very vaguely, but I have vaguely kind of matched these. So I've looked at that, and I quite like the green with the green. And I've got 2 yellows and 2 oranges, but I wouldn't be over fussed about that for this type of junky junk journal. And then we've got our card for the middle. I'm going to put another page in here, another folio. Let me just do this first. And again, this sort of tones with that last page. And it is a fraction, it is a little bit fraction over, so I am going to trim that down as well. I've already checked, it won't be cutting any of the writing off. So this is our basic signature, and this one is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm going to leave it at 8. I think that'll be plenty. By the time, if you imagine pockets and photographs and all that sort of thing added onto there, then you'll see that it can bulk out quite significantly. So I'm going to sort out the other signature now for this journal. Obviously you can stop the video here, or you can carry on with me. Again, I've roughly put it together. I think I might have one less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I've got 8 there. So our first one, I've got this map page, and I want this to be the right size, and it virtually is. I can see it's a smidgen over on the edges and the top. So some people would think that I'm mega fussy doing this, but I am just going to take those smidgens off. I don't know if smidgen is actually a word. Whoops, gone a bit wayward there. Thinking about smidgens too much. Go, still a bit off at the bottom. And I'm a proper fuss pot, there we go. And a little bit off the top as well. And then we just go through the same process with these other pages. So this is our old froggy page. that's not in there to be vintage, it's just there because it happened to be the book I picked up to tear something out of. This one, when I folded it, I decided not to fold this one in the middle. Just really love that image, so I folded it so that I've got the majority of that image in, and that will go in there and be stitched in, and then we can always add some extra real estate, as we will call it, extra pages onto that. This is out of that fairy book. I've tended to line mine up to the bottom, but you can line them up in the middle, the top, it doesn't really matter. This is a page I've painted or dyed, painted I think. Stained, sort of a stained page, that one. And again, that one is fraction over, so let's get rid of the excess.
The water come next.
Sorry, husband interrupting there. To be fair, I wasn't actually talking, so he didn't realise. This one is obviously going to be too big. I mean, something else you can do is fold up the bottom to make pockets that way. So should we do that on this one? There we go. I'm going to trim this off. And then I'm just going to just force this out a bit, because when it's folded, and what I will probably do is just cut that down. Again, I don't like things too caught up, so let's just snip those edges off. And then when we glue or stitch that down, that'll sit much better in there. So that's that one. This one should be fine. That's quite rough, that edge. That's a bit too much for me, so I'm just going to take that off. Just because if I want to put a pillow or anything there, it'll not look right at all. And then our card in the middle. And again, you can see that I've sort of vaguely match this up. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to pop these in, and you can see that at the moment that's going to be a pretty thin book. It's up to you whether you add more. I might add another sheet to each of these just to give me one more. When I make my single journals, this type of thing, and I make a lot of these, as you follow me, you'll know that I make a lot of these. I don't mind them gaping, and I don't really mind this one gaping, but equally I want it to sit on a bookshelf so that it's not like this. I want it to be reasonable on the bookshelf, because I do take these off and show them to people, or we look at them. So just think that through. I'm going to add one more sheet to each of these so that I've got 9 folios in each one. And then in the next video, I'll come back and show you how we stitch them in.